doing good.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome, citizens of Douglas County. The Douglas County Board of Commissioners special called meeting of August 11th, 2025 will come to order. County Clerk, please take the roll for the record.
Yes, ma'am. Commissioner of District 1, Henry Mitchell, is absent. Commissioner of District 2, Whitney Kenner Jones.
Present.
Commissioner of District 3, Martin Raxton.
Present.
Commissioner of District 4, Vice Chair Mark Alcaraz.
Present.
Dr. Ramona Jackson Jones, Chairman.
Present. Thank you so much, Madam Clerk. This morning, certainly to our citizens of Douglas County and the Board of Commissioners, we have a public hearing regarding the proposed millage rate. Before we open the public hearing, we will have a presentation from our Chief Financial Officer, Dominique O'Shea. Are you here,
Yes,
CFO?
ma'am. He's right
Okay,
here.
right in my face. There you are. Okay.
Is the video first? You gonna start the video?
Yeah, you can start the video. Yep.
What is the millage rate, and how does it impact your money? In simple terms, the millage rate is what you owe in property taxes based upon the assessed value of your property. Each mill is equivalent to $1 of every $1,000. For example, if your property's assessed value is $100,000 and you multiply that amount by 1 mil, the amount you'd owe in taxes is $100. It's time for the Douglas County Board of Commissioners to set the 2025 millage rate. Commissioners are currently considering a proposal from the County Administration Office to adjust the millage rate to 15.763 mils, an increase of 3.7 mils above last year's millage rate. So what will this mean to you in terms of dollars and cents? Based on the proposal, the property tax increase for a home with a fair market value of $250,000 is approximately $29 a month, or $348 annually for those with a homestead exemption. So where does your money go? Tax dollars fund general government, the judicial system, public safety and public works, health and welfare, parks and recreation, and planning and development. Keep in mind, the school system also assesses a millage rate, which is separate from the county's rate. There are ways to lower your tax bill, including applying for a homestead exemption to be deducted from the amount you owe. Find out how to qualify for homestead and other exemptions by contacting the Tax Commissioner's Office for detailed information. Meantime, share your input on this year's millage rate by attending any of the upcoming in-person public hearings. Commissioners will weigh your input along with budgetary information from the County Administrator's Office to make an informed decision. We value your voice and look forward to seeing you soon.
Thank you. Good morning, Madam Chair,
Good
Vice
morning.
Chair, County Administration, Commissioners.
Good morning.
I'm going to do a brief presentation and avoid repeating some of the narrative you already heard about the millage rate. It's important that I highlight some key.
Speak up a little, please.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yes.
Okay. It's important that I highlight some key items for the fiscal year 2026 proposed budget and 25, how we got here. And the reason being, I believe there's a media publication about the fact that there was a potential $10 million deficit. I just want to present the facts to you. The county is not $10 million over budget. Since 2020, the county has completed each fiscal year with operating revenue more than operating expenditures. The operating margins remain narrow as a percentage of overall expenditure, but remain positive. A conservative balanced budget is presented and adopted without the use of fund balance reserves. The budget structured to align recurring operating expenses and recurring operating revenue. Since 2020, the county increased its minimum unassigned fund balance reserves from 10 to 15% of overall expenditures. The current minimum requirement is approximately 45 days of operating expenditure for use in board-approved emergency expenses. The county has no long-term outstanding debt and has utilized tax anticipation notes and has not utilized tax anticipation notes for fiscal efficiency. The county has reduced its operating rates for operating tax rates for 2 consecutive fiscal years, 2023 and 2024, while maintaining compliance with all fiscal policies and meeting service levels. Since 2020, our estimated revenue appropriations have been conservative and mirror actual revenue results achieved annually each fiscal year. And our focus has been to make sure that we match recurring expenses with recurring revenue. That's a sustainable way to balance our budget and ensure fiscal sustainability for the future. I'm going to skip this slide because for most part it was presented during the video that you all saw, explaining what millage rate is, market value, and assessed value. Same with this.
CFO, if you would, don't skip anything.
Don't skip anything?
Just
Yes, ma'am.
yes, please.
Market value is the current estimated amount of which property tax can be bought or sold. The assessed value is 40% of market value and used as the basis for calculating the property tax levy or bill in Georgia. An example of market value of approximately $100,000 has a corresponding value of 40% as assessed taxable value. Oops. The amount of a tax bill is based on the fair value of the property using the millage rate. Millage rate is set annually by the governing authority of the taxing jurisdiction and by the Board of Education. A tax rate of 1 mil represents a tax liability of $1 per thousand of assessed value. And this diagram basically illustrates how we use the millage rate to calculate the taxes due on the property. I'll just pause for a while. As you can see, it starts with millage rate, and tax rate is applied to the assessed value, basically summarizing the first 2 or 3 slides that I just explained. Now, this table right here illustrates the digest for the years 2023 and 2024, and 2024 and 2025. There are a couple of key major points here. If you notice, the bottom line of $7 billion, which indicates that there was a overall $6 million, 6% increase in the digest. Compare that to the bottom line of the next chart, which is approximately $7.8 billion, and double that amount of increase in the digest. And you can see the various categories where the increases can be attributed to, each percentage change. A very large increase in real, 3% compared to last year. And then you have personal. And exemption kind of remained the same, not a very significant change in the exemption. I'll move to the next slide. And this here is the same diagram that was published in the newspaper as required by law. It gives us a historical context of a 5-year history and the current year proposed budget, digest and millage rate. The key points I want to highlight here are that the millage rate remained the same for 2020, 21, and 22. And then we roll back in 2023 and 24, as was indicated earlier. What you don't have on this chart, because basically we follow in the state requirement in publication, is you will not see the impact of appeals that will reduce that potential total tax amount that's going to be collected. And as of this point in time, we have not concluded the credit for exemptions. That's still forthcoming. As I understand, tax assessor's office, from tax assessor and tax commissioner, they might have extended it a little bit, and therefore, as I speak today, it might have been concluded, but it wasn't as of when this schedule was prepared. So you have two things that will impact the total amount that will be collected that's not reflected here, which is subsequent exemptions and the outcome of appeals. And then the third factor will be delinquencies, people that won't pay. That's not reflected in this diagram. And so, we need to take that into consideration when we actually budgeting and anticipating what the actual revenue would be to balance the budget. The current millage rate is 12.63. The rollback rate based on the law would be 11.829. And that rollback rate is a millage rate that would be required the same if you're at the same level of revenue, taking into consideration the current value of property and the impact in digest growth. And that's a state law in terms of if you have a growth in your digest, it asks that you roll back to the same level of revenue as the previous year that you would have collected, taking into consideration the impact of the growth. And therefore, as you can see, there's 11.829 on the rollback rate, which is further lower than our current rate, which was rolled back last year. This page right here just illustrates the different values at the current digest rate of what additional revenue would be applying a quarter millage rate, 0.5, 75, and 1 mil. And 1 mil equals to the exact amount of the current digest. There are basically two parts to this slide right here. On the left side, what you have is a chart that illustrates for 2025, if we applied the current digest on a home that's valued at about $250 with exemption, what the property tax would be. Compare that to the proposed rollback rate, and the annual savings will be $22. That's on my left side. The next part is comparing, again, if we retained the current millage rate for property valued at $250,000, how does that compare to if the millage rate goes up by 1 mil? What's the impact on a property valued at $250,000? And that impact is $94 for entire year. This next slide is set up the same way, except now it's comparing 2 mils increase, which is the section on the right. Again, starting with, if we stayed at the current millage rate of 12.63, property valued at $250, what's the difference between that and an increase of 2 mils? That'll be $188 for the entire year. Now this slide here illustrates the 3.7 that's being proposed. Again, let's focus on the slide on the right, please. If we stayed at the current millage rate, compare the difference to the 15.76, property valued at $250,000 with standard exemption, the annual cost will be $348. This slide kind of sums it all up. It takes into consideration the current digest at the proposed rollback rate will provide a reduction in revenue of $1.8 million, and the proposed mill of an additional 3.7 will provide an additional revenue of 28.8. Now, bear in mind, this does not take into consideration those three scenarios that I indicated in the blue chart earlier, the historical 5-year chart, which is all exemptions are not here. It doesn't take into consideration appeals, nor does it take into consideration delinquencies. And this chart is just a quick illustration by cluster of the percentage allocation of where our millage, with the millage rate, what services are provided by the millage rate. And this is general fund only. Now, fire is also public safety, but it's not here because it's in another fund. And the general governmental, although it appears high, has a lot of other entities and funding that subsidizes the public safety, but it's in what we deem general appropriations and non-departmental. So you know, it's, but this is the way our cluster is set up. I just wanted to bring to your attention that if we truly isolated both direct and indirect costs associated, you would see that the bulk of the expenditure, especially personnel, is actually in public safety. These are just some general things that were mentioned in the earlier video. I'd like to reiterate the fact that homestead exemption is a very big benefit, a provision that's available to property owners that occupy their home, and it's established by state law and voted upon by the citizens. Some general things you may need to know about homestead exemption include you may qualify for basic homestead, but this may also apply to property taxes for city and school system. There are many different kinds of homesteads available for seniors and people with full medical disabilities. Please call our tax assessor and tax commissioner's office and make sure you're taking advantage of all the homestead exemptions that are available to you. Exemptions are also available for surviving spouses of peace officers, firefighters killed in the line of duty. Many special exemptions are required for age and/or income. The last bullet points highlight contact information for tax commissioner's office and the tax assessor's office should you require additional information. This slide here shows us the average values by district of homestead and non-homestead. I'll just leave it up for a few more seconds. Times and places for additional public hearings on this tax increase will be Tuesday, August 19th at 10 a.m. and 6 p.m. to be held right here at Citizens Hall, Douglas County, Courthouse, 8700 Hospital Drive, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you so much, Chief Financial Officer Dominique O'Shea. We will now open the public hearing. Madam Clerk, I yield the floor to you to provide instructions.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your 3 minutes are up, you'll hear a buzzer. And when you reach the mic, please restate your name, your address, And please speak clearly so that I can get the correct name for the record. Anyone would like to speak? You can go ahead and line up now.
Sharon Bachtel, 6331 South Skyline Drive, and I wanted to talk about the 2024 budget. I can't understand how the BOC voted to approve a budget that was $10 million over without one word of discussion or explanation. You did not even include the budget in the agenda packet so the citizens could see it. Where is the transparency? I don't understand why an administrator and finance director would allow you to overspend the budget by millions. Shouldn't one of them be saying you can't spend any more money? We paid over $381,000 to Mr. Corbin's company in 2024 for financial advice and administration. It seems that was a waste of tax dollars. According to the 2024 final budget that I had to ask for from Open Records, the projected revenues and expenses were $127,279,000. The actual amount at the end of 2024 was $140,462,143 for revenues and $137,256,883 for expenses. You brought in $13 million more in revenues than projected, and you spent $10 million more than projected. I don't understand why you would need to take money from the reserves if you brought in $3 million more than you spent. The citizens want to know where the $10 million were spent, and I have seen a lot of wasteful spending by this county. Just look at the P-card statements. I think these department budgets are padded. How does the tax commissioner have enough money in his budget to pay $32,000 for billboards with his picture on it? Was that a necessary expense? In May, 4 department heads requested car allowances. They already had money in their budgets for this. Where did that extra money come from? The coroner could save the county $50,000 a year if she would do her job that state law says she is supposed to do, investigations. She added on a full-time administrative assistant position that was not voted on by the BOC. There is a contract person in the appraisal department making $56 an hour. How can we afford that salary? I don't understand how the commissioners can boast all the time about being financially sound and then turn around and tell us you are out of money and have to raise our taxes. It's time to cut back on the spending, and I vote no on any millage rate increase. Thank you.
I love Sharon. Thank you. Linda Kripe, 5915 Dorset Bridge Road. Thank you for having this meeting. I really appreciate it. And I'm a property owner and a taxpayer in this county, and I am greatly concerned about these proposed millage rate increases. First, before I begin, I'd like to have everyone in this room stand who is opposing the property taxes increase. That's what you need to know. This is just a small representation of what this county wants. A small representation. Nobody that pays property taxes in this county wants a property tax increase. It may be $100 for this $100 million, or for this $1 million, or whatever it is, but by this proposal or by this presentation. But nobody in this county. Anybody in this county have a $250,000 appraised or assessed value property? No. Those numbers do not matter to us. It's the other numbers that matter to us. Every single property in this county has been appraised at higher assessed values, and we don't want it anymore. We're standing up and standing out now. We're done with it. I'm going to urge you to strongly do a few things. Eliminate wasteful and redundant positions. Freeze non-essential spending. Freeze it now, no more. Stop raiding reserve funds. Commit to transparency. Are you not having quarterly or monthly budget review meetings where you know that you're going over budget before it happens? We're seeing numbers from 2024 and you're well over budget. Don't tell me you're not over $10 million over budget. We've seen the numbers. We've seen it. Every single department in this county is over budget. April 16th, Madam Chair, you made a statement in front of a big audience over at the community building in Douglasville that said specifically, and I'll read it and quote it, and this should stand. Why not Douglas County, she continued, as I stand before you today. I'm a proud deliverer of good news. The state of the county is in vigorous and robust condition. Jackson Jones heralded the county's physical vitality as a major sign of strength. Douglas County has zero debt. Zero debt, she proclaimed, drawing cheers from the crowd. Douglas County doesn't owe anybody anything. Madam Chair, yes, you do. You owe every citizen in this room and every citizen that pays property taxes in this county.
Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, the rest of the board, and the other officials. I'm Ann Jones Guider. I live at 3380 East Baggett Road, Winston. Most of you are aware of how people feel about the proposed tax increase, especially the anticipated percentage. Although I joined them, I'm here today to voice a concern on how a $10 million shortfall happened in 2024 without somebody foreseeing it. The problem, especially with all the guardrails that the county has in place that could have caught this. Now, if the budget last year was underfunded, that's your problem. One guardrail, a monthly report. Now, these are reports that I had in place when I was tax commissioner. A monthly report you receive or should be receiving indicates that departments are trending overspending their budget and which line item is occurring. Another guardrail, when a department sends through a purchase order and they do not have the funds to cover it, it should be denied unless they have the funds somewhere else in excess funds in another line item that they can transfer over to it. But somebody needs to look at it and question them on why it's not in the budget, but if it's not in the budget, deny it. Another guardrail, the same report shows a trend of the revenues, and at a certain point, if the trend continues to show a shortfall, you have to take additional action, requiring each department to cut their budgets and freezing any non-essential spending. The governor just recently did it for the state of Georgia. Another guardrail, often there are assessment adjustments or errors that can draw down on the original anticipated revenues. Some errors can be caught before the millage rate is set. This can be done simply by when the assessors roll over the digest to the tax commissioner, you take every classification of property, and if there's any huge or large increase, you question them on it. I used to do it and caught millions of dollars. And I'm not talking about the totals up here. I'm talking about each line item, like R1, R2, R3, A1, compare those figures. I'm almost finished.
You're out of time. You're out of time. The buzzer went off. Yes, you're out of time per my legal. You're out of time. I'm so sorry. Okay?
I was just going to say, it should have been called, there are guardrails out there.
Yes, ma'am, I hear
It
you.
should have been called.
Just a question, is it a law or is it just a precedent set in this chamber?
we had, how many minutes did we have, legal?
I understand what she said at the beginning. I'm saying for her to finish, is this a law or is this the president's?
Sir, I want to, I look down, legal, so we, thank you, Commissioner.
Good morning. I feel very out of place here. I'm a retired ER nurse, and I don't know a whole lot about all these numbers that this gentleman was saying, but I have been a tax-paying citizen in Douglas County for over 40 years. Recently, about 2 years ago, my husband passed away, and I experienced a lot of changes, and one of the changes was my income dropped by half, but my expenses did not. So I have a few suggestions for you. These are things that I did that so far have worked for me in the last 2 years. I took a hard look at my expenses, and it was very hard, and I made changes because I had to. It was tough. I really changed went down to this $29.99 that we're going to be expected or asked to pay right now. That was part of my subscriptions to my TV programs that I really loved. I really miss my HGTV. And I certainly am going to miss live SEC football this fall. But you know what? Life goes on. It really is okay. You can live without some of those things that you really think are necessary. I got really serious when I sold a car. But what really happened to me a few months ago is I sold my home that I had been in for 36 years and am very happy now in a much smaller home that I will pay less taxes on. But it was a big decision after 36 years being at that home. And you know what? Again, life goes on. Mm-hmm. Those are the things I did. What I did not do was that I did not go to my friends and my neighbors and my family and ask them for money. What I did not do was continue in that same course that I was in. I looked seriously at what I was doing, and I looked at every single item. What I did not do was lose my joy and enthusiasm for life. And I don't think Douglas County will either, if these things that we look at that we think are so necessary can be reevaluated. They may not be so necessary. I challenge you to look critically at every single penny, just like I did, just like everybody in this room probably does every couple of years at least. Hey, if you don't have time, I volunteer. I'm free help. And if you have a medical emergency, I'll step right up to the plate. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to look at it. And what I ask you to do is seriously look at it before you lift that pen. It's easy to lift that pen, and with one stroke of that pen to raise that millage rate. It's hard to make these changes, but guess what? You can do it. You're elected to do that. Each of you are very smart people. Do it.
Ma'am, we didn't get her name and address for the record.
Yes, ma'am.
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
I am Barbara Kilgore, 6207 Douglas Manor Court.
Thank you.
Kimberly Buell, 8355 Banks Mill Road. Good morning, Commissioners, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
I'm also out of my realm. I am usually in radio and news reporting, and so I've seen the millage rates. I've been to these meetings, but I've never had the honor of standing with the constituents. Some of these people voted for you, some of them did not, in agreement with what's going on. So first, I want to thank you so much for the public participation, and I want to ask the public a question as well. Who likes avocado on their sandwich? I do, right? Who likes an extra shot of espresso? Douglas County. Who likes extra bacon on their sandwich? There we go. Okay. It costs extra to get those things. As a mom, as a taxpayer, where our taxes just continue to rise, I budget. I don't always get the avocado. I don't eat bacon either. So I don't get the bacon, but I always get the shot of espresso if I can. If I can afford it, because it is a like. It is not a need. It is a want, not a need. So I'm asking you right now to please assess your wants versus your needs. I appreciate the comparisons that he did from current values to proposed values, and it's $388, and it's this. I don't care. We do care if it's more, but we care about what you're spending it on. And it's asinine to ask your constituents to pay for your want and not your need.
Good morning. My name is Susan Nelson Bowie. I'm at 2935 Flowers Drive here in Douglasville for over 30 years. And imagine me being on the same side as some of y'all. Just had to get that out. Okay, so let's start. I want to talk about this budget. I am the founder and one of the co-leaders of Sweetwater Indivisible here in Douglas County. And I want to thank you for allowing me to speak this morning, along with so many others. As we look ahead to 2026, we face several financial mandates, some of which are necessary and some are optional. We have new judges that are going to cost us $1.5 million, which includes their staff and their benefits. We have over $1 million in unfunded positions from grants, and we need to decide if we keep these positions or do we cut them. They weren't meant to be permanent. The sheriff is asking for $1.8 million for technology upgrade, which ideally should have been funded through a SPLOS, but it wasn't. And with his overtime budget already consuming $1.4 million, we simply can't afford it. One significant expense this year is the sheriff's new medical services contract, which is costing us $2.5 million. There's a proposed allocation of $5 million to the Community Service Board. This doesn't seem financially sensible, and we urge more dialogue and oversight regarding this. The Connect Douglas Transit Service is essential for our community, costing $3.5 million. It serves 76,000 people. More than half of our population have ridden these buses, yet it's funded in part through reimbursements. We can't afford to lose this vital service, especially as many residents of Douglas County rely on it. There are senior citizens who can't drive anymore. They need this bus service. We have to have it. Removing it would only galvanize the communities like Sweetwater Indivisible to rally the citizens come election time, and we will if you take away our buses. We the people oppose the continued funding of an insatiable sheriff's department. We do not wish to militarize our local law enforcement or support the concerning policies emerging from Washington. If the Sheriff's Department insists on further funding, we strongly advocate for the establishment of a Citizens Review Board to oversee their activities and ensure transparency. Our own Doge, if you will. It's shocking that we are the only county where citizens can have a dead body in their car with no consequences. And in our search for accountability, we couldn't find any other county with that policy. I'm just saying, I looked. Overall, we face over $37 million in fixed costs for 2026. By freezing department budgets and rejecting unnecessary expenses, we can manage our finances responsibly without raising these taxes. As an artist, I understand the importance of fairness. And I will stop there, but thank you for my time.
Thank you so much, Ms. Bowie. Appreciate you.
Good morning, commissioners and staff. I'm Amy McCoy, 9938 Ashton Old Road. I cannot stay silent about the insidious nature of Douglas County's proposed 30% property tax millage rate increase. This isn't just a number, it's a staggering transfer of wealth from working families, seniors, and fixed incomes, and vulnerable homeowners straight into a general fund that, by the county's own records, has not been subject to a complete audit in the past 2 years. That alone should set off alarms for anyone who believes in accountability. As a fair housing expert, I understand the long-term harm this level of taxation can cause, forcing people out of their homes they've worked decades to keep, destabilizing neighborhoods, and accelerating displacement. And yet, despite the rhetoric of public safety and essential services, the distribution of our tax dollars raises serious questions. Under an interim chairperson with a law enforcement background, millions have flowed to public safety. But for whose safety? Whose interests are truly being served? I believe in law enforcement, but as I have seen my tax increases, there hasn't been much enforcement. We also have a county administrator who, in the past, other jurisdictions raised concerns. And while I would like to believe he would not repeat those same mistakes here, the action speaks louder than assurances. The reality is this: Douglas County overspent by $10 million last year, dug into dwindling reserves and covers the gap, and is now asking residents to fill the hole without first fixing the leak. To share my experience, from 2022 to 2024, Douglas County's property taxes on my home jumped from over $4,082 to $4,716. That's a $634 increase in those 2 years. With a proposed 30% millage rate hike, that bill will climb roughly over $6,000, and that's about a 51% increase since 2022. At the same time, my homeowner HOA dues rose 30%, and I'm still waiting on responses to the HOA oversight. Since this state will no longer take on this issue, that means it falls on you as the commission. That's nearly $3,000 more a year in combined household costs before factoring insurance, utilities, and inflations on everyday expenses. For many residents, this isn't just a budget issue, it's a housing stability issue. Renters will also bear the brunt of this increase. Leaders and even county employees have told me directly, "We need to go in a different direction," I quote. That should mean real fiscal discipline, independent audits before the tax hikes, and the budget process that prioritizes housing stability, equity, and community investments over unchecked.
Thank you so much, Ms. McCoy. Thank you.
Good morning. My name is Ron Potichar, 8760 Hamel Court in the city of Douglasville.
Good morning.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I thank you for those that came before me and spoke with some facts and figures and very well put together and very well spoken. I didn't come with that. What I came with is I've been a resident of the county of Douglas for 3.5 years. I moved here from Jersey with the hopes of cheaper home prices, cheaper taxes, everything. What I've seen when we purchased our house is nothing but increase. Quoted just over $2,000 for property taxes. I'm paying over $7,000 right now. I can't continue like this. Can we afford to continue like this? Can we say yes to this, or can we say no to this? We need to say no. These increases are getting out of hand. Can't continue like this. I'd rather move back to Jersey where it's just as expensive, and I have family. I don't have family here, but I moved here for better opportunities. I've taken a pay cut. I've taken a lot of things have gone downhill in that respect. But the increases of taxes and home prices and everything else have gone up. So I say to you, no to this.
Madam, Board, thank you for an opportunity to have the chance to speak. Thank you, Douglas County, for showing up this morning. My name is Dr. John Rogers. I live at 6330 Holborn Lane, Douglasville, Georgia, 30134. I'm a business owner here. I own a few businesses in the city of Douglasville and the county as well. We house mostly fixed income people who are living off of $943 a month. And when you increase this, it has to go down. the line. We can't continue to give affordable housing and house these people and do what we do for ministry to help the people that are in the positions that they're in. These are you're hitting lower and lower and lower. You try to live off of $943 a month. Figure that out. My background comes from a Fortune 500 corporation. We own one of the largest companies in the United States. And every second week we go before the CEO and the CFO. And we call this thing a critical path. And we have a balance and a budget. And if you wanted to keep your job, you met your balance and your budget. And if you didn't, you didn't have no job. Because if you didn't make your numbers, you didn't make no job. It's critical. We can't afford to do what we're doing, and the less fortunate are going to continue to go back to the woods. And our homeless population is increasing daily. The mental pressure. You're putting spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, economic pressure on these people. They don't deserve it. Let's get the budget. Let's find the critical path. Let's make it. But let's not raise our taxes. Have a blessed day.
Good morning. My name is Takiwa Smith. I live at 206 Mill Pond Parkway. A lot of people have talked about how we can cut the budget, but I want you to have a little different perspective and look at us for taxpayers and citizens and the economic impact of the overall county when we have less disposable income to use, when the cost of our mortgage goes up, when we have insurance, but we're dealing with the mortgage, what happens, direct impact of property taxes. We're just at a time where everything is going up. I got an email from Peacock this morning that my Peacock is going up. And who protects the citizens? And although we cannot control corporate America, we do expect our government to provide some type of protection for us so that we can have the best quality of life we can in the counties that we choose to live in. And so I understand that all of these things are coming and budgets happen. You know, I'm a small business owner. I have experienced a decrease in revenue as a result of federal policies. We know less money is coming in. But I also think it's irresponsible that the response time and time again for the government is to let the citizens pay more. What ways are we thinking about how to increase revenue, how to adjust to the loss in revenue, instead of always putting the cost immediately on let the citizens pay? Like, this is a awful trend in government that has to stop so that we can provide the best quality of life for our citizens. You know, you talk about keeping services. What will be the best quality of life for citizens is to have us a much disposable income as possible so we can go to the restaurants here, so we can enjoy the parks, because if we have less disposable income, we're not spending more gas than we need to do. All of those things we need to take into account before we add an additional cost that will impact business when our citizens have lower disposable income as a result of the continued increase of the various taxes on us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Nathan Deuce. I live at 4750 Pool Road in Winston. I just wanted to, looking at this budget, right, from 2021 till now, with your own numbers, everybody here has got a 60% raise, right, for the county. The revenues are up, the taxable digest revenues are up 60%, right? So if we look at what was our budget, what was happening in Douglas County back in 2021, 2022, things were pretty good still. I'm curious, 60% more revenue 3 years later from the taxes, what do we have to show for it? Right? Everybody here is concerned about overspending. So someone got a raise and decided to spend more money. And I think that's a major issue that we need to be looking at here as a county. That's what I'm looking at. I also happen to own not just a property owner for myself, but I've also invested in Douglas County. And while we're talking about a 60% increase, my rental properties, I don't get any homestead exemptions. I'm at 78 to 85% increases on my rental properties. That has to get passed on to somebody. Right? And it's nice for the county because you guys are getting extra money, but the people that are trying to live here and afford housing, their rents are going up. And it makes it harder for people to want to live in Douglas County. It makes it harder when investors are looking at their bottom line of maybe I got a 5% return on this investment. Now it's going down because the taxes are going up, that they might want to stay in Douglas County and sell. And that's good for homeownership, but the revenues are going to go down on county as well. I just want you guys to think about those things when y'all are thinking about bumping everybody's taxes up, because it impacts everybody and it makes Douglas County a less desirable place to stay. Thank you.
Good morning. Sabina Kelly, 9565 Grande Drive, Winston.
Good morning.
When I checked on the computer to see the top of Douglas County and when we're having our meetings today, the first thing I saw was the $29 a month increase for our property taxes. Okay, well, they're due November 15th. So that means I have to get $348 saved up somewhere out of my budget that's very tight every month. And now I have to come up with $348 in 2 months so that I can pay my property taxes. If you let me pay it $29 a month, I could maybe go along with your tax increase, but I can't. This is just not acceptable, and it's very frustrating. And as other people have said here, we're all willing to help the finance department figure out where the problems are, or whatever department it is, because we used to have Citizens Academy. I know we still have it for the high school kids. Don't know if you call in citizens anymore, but we're all willing to get together to fix this problem. I see that there's, and inside Douglas County, Dr. Corbin said that there's going to be $5 million for the 911 center. Well, when I just met a person that said they called our 911 center here in Douglasville, and they were telling the person that they were being attacked by a man with a knife, and 911 hung up on them. I don't want to pay them an extra $5 million out of my tax money for that kind of service. If we could fix our problems, I think we'd be better off. Thank you very much.
Good morning. My name is Tamala Baldwin, 3901 Old Savannah Court. So I'm new to the county. I'm a first-time home buyer, and I moved here because New York was just way too expensive for me. My property taxes were, I think, $12,000 on top of a mortgage. So I came here thinking that the cost of living would be cheaper. So hearing that there will be a 30% in 1 year feels almost as if it's a little bit tone deaf. Do we not see what's happening in the world right now? People may be losing their health insurance. I'm a caregiver. My sister may lose her SSI, disability. It's almost like that has been part of the conversation. I think it should be. As you guys are serving the people that live here, it's important to consider the macro of what's happening and not just what's happening in Douglas County. It does matter, all of it. There's so much happening. I may lose health care as a woman, can't have an abortion anymore, like all those things. Like, it matters, and it's too much. 30% is a lot, and I am emotional about it. I think Douglas County is also one of the highest taxed counties in Metro Atlanta, I believe, so I don't know why. So that's all I have to say about it. It feels wrong, it feels tone deaf and insensitive. Thank you.
My name is Lorraine Williams. I live at 5710 Toccoa Drive, Douglasville, Georgia. I don't have a speech or anything. I don't have a speech or anything. When the commissioner was speaking, I didn't know that there was a gain. And it sort of feels like you're trying to reverse the gain that is being blessed, a blessing to the citizens. And the Lord appointed you all. I believe in Jesus. He appointed you all. And you have a duty to honor every citizen in this country. In this county. And I really hope that you guys reconsider this. And that's it. Have a blessed day.
Thank you so much.
Hi, I'm Amy Bennett, 8599 Banks Mill Road. I heard somebody else on Banks Mill Road. I'm in Winston, so still in Douglas County, but like the gentleman, a couple people behind me, I I also own some rental properties. So this applies to my personal home as well as rental properties. And I just did a little math while I was sitting back there, but my property taxes went from $3,300 when I bought the house in 2018. Now we're pushing $6,000, and that's before the increase. So in my mind, I'm paying $10,000. Okay, right? We're going to get there pretty soon with this kind of momentum on my one house that I live in. That's with the exemption. But total, I'm paying close to $20,000 a year because all of my houses are in Douglas County. I'm from here. I grew up here, so I love Douglas County, and I'm a crier. So anyway, I get passionate. But, you know, I mean, I don't want to leave. I love it here. I'm a business person. But I have been working so much the past however many years. I ended up with some anxiety and had to take a leave from work. And then they decided to let me go. But I'm pretty productive. I'm going to classes now. I'm getting into real estate. I like real estate. Why not get my license? So I'm going to go do that. But I also have some time on my hands, and I'm pretty good with money. Like somebody else did, I would happily volunteer because I don't know all the numbers that you guys have to look at all the time. I don't. But I would love to see them because I do agree with everyone else here that there probably are other ways that we could do things. And it's going to impact us, me, and my other fellow citizens. So I would be more than happy to volunteer my time to help with any of that kind of insight or whatever I could do. I just know that I've been pretty productive in my own life. I have my own businesses. I have a couple in Alabama. I feel like there's a little bit of some red tape here, and this might be one of them for wanting to have more businesses here, but I would love to bring more of that back to Georgia. So anyway, that's my story, and I vote no.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ms. Bennett.
Good morning to all, Madam Chair.
Good morning.
To everybody. Back in 1998, my
Sir,
company...
can you state your name?
Oh, I'm sorry. Jeff Klassen, 5911 Dorset Bridge Road. So in 98, our company moved out here. I was the manager for 36 years, worked there for 43. The facility employed 150 employees. I bought some property, built a house here, and in 2002, my taxes were just under $2,000 a year for the home, and now they're over $7,800. So it's increased a great deal, and I'm getting older. I've retired. To the lady that was just here, to add to her, what about businesses? People can't afford to come here and bring more businesses here because most of our employees didn't even live in Douglas County. We employed 150 employees, and they actually, Carroll County, Harrison County, all the surrounding counties, even a lot of people from Cobb County are coming down here because nobody that lives in Douglas County, we didn't pay, I guess, enough to get them happy to where they can make enough money to live here, and it's getting even worse. So another person spoke about budgeting and trending. You can see there's all kind of programs where you can see trends on expenditures and stuff like that. So, and I know that because I had to use them. Another man talked about, he didn't have a job if he didn't meet his goals and his budget. So we need to take a look at ourselves, and the wants and the needs are very important, and we need to minimize the wants So there's a lot of stuff that we do need, and we understand that, but the wants, we just, I mean, if we can't get them, we can't get them. So thank you, thank you.
Thank you so much.
No, I'm going to go. Richard William Strickland, Jr., 9003 Highway 166. I got more generations in this county than that number on that seal behind you, 1870. I got family still rotting in the ground in South Douglas County. I was a fireman for this county for 10 years for $505 a week. I watched your chief come to my station and sit across the table from me. Help's on the way. We're getting a fire tax. I'm a citizen of Douglas County. I worked my ass off all week long. My personal job, I was a fireman because I loved it. I quit it because y'all forced me out of it. Every one of you sitting there. I loved that job. I would do it for free. So do not use my department as a public forum to get more money out of the citizens, because it's not passed down to the men busting their asses every day. Mark Alvarez, you jump parties to represent my part of the county. What have you done? What is your job? When's the last time you helped traffic at Fair Play? I didn't get to wrestle my senior year of high school because I had a car wreck in front of South Douglas Elementary School on my way to school. I didn't get to go in the military. I had a tore up knee. I busted my ass, went to fire school. Twice for this county, I went through rookie school. Wasn't good enough to go through one time. I quit to bury my father, who had cancer. I went back to work for your department, worked 2 years, and I walked away. I let my license lapse to make sure I did not make the mistake to work for this county again. So I tell you, I'm coming back. I sold my home in Carroll County. I left. Y'all forced me out. My family bought a piece of property, 42 acres, for $700 in 1930-something. Look it up. It's upstairs. And then my taxes were over $10,000 a year on the same piece of dirt that's been paid for by my great-grandmother, my great-grandfather, who are rotting in the ground down there on 166 right up the road from the same piece of property y'all are taxing the hell out of me for. So I tell you, do your jobs that you were elected to do. Quit playing used car salesman with our tax dollars, because I can run the millage rate wherever you want to. I'm really good with numbers. So I can take that piece of paper, run it in the back up the millage rate, and tax you more and make you happy about it. That's exactly what you're doing. Get somebody up here at this podium that can speak plain English to the citizens of Douglas County and let them know what you're doing with their money. I'm coming back. Mark, not Republican, not Democrat. Citizen of Douglas County. Write in Richard Strickland. I think I'm going to run.
Hello, my name is Patricia Fischel, 6191 Highway 166 in Douglasville.
Hello.
Oh, I'm sorry. Better? Okay, thank you. And I want to thank you, everybody, for listening. I see a couple of you taking notes. Excuse me. It'd be hard pressed to, follow up. Everybody was really explaining about budgeting and stuff like that and what they're expecting. I think where everybody would like a little accountability, and also, what are your plans? So that's my big question here. What are your plans between listening to us speak and actually signing the budget to go over the budget and listen to what they're saying, and how are you going to change it? Or is this just for show and you're just going to sign off? So if you could, before we leave, let us know what that plan is, when your schedules are. That would really be helpful to us. Thank you.
I forgot to say a couple of things. Can I use the rest of my time?
No, ma'am.
I'm
Usually
not sure
we
how
don't
much
allow
time
you
you
to
have.
speak twice.
I'm sorry?
We don't allow you to speak twice. Once you finish your time was up, apologize. And I will be willing to speak with you offline, okay? If you just hold on. Once this is over, I'll speak with you.
for allowing me to speak.
Good morning.
I'm new to this, and so I hope all of you will forgive my ignorance, but I get the feeling that we just talk and you listen, is what I'm
Yes.
suspecting.
Yes, ma'am.
And
I'm
so
sorry,
what I'm
can
going
you state your name
I
and
need your
address,
name.
please?
I'm sorry, Colleen Rose, 3835 Two Boroughs Court. You know, it seems like there's a difference of opinion in the room. Some folks are saying $10 million is missing, and he said no. So I'm confused. Do we ever get that information? Does it ever get clarified? So what I'm thinking is, I'm going to come back to the next millage meeting, and maybe you can get Mr. Finance to clarify in his PowerPoint exactly, what's the deal with the $10 million, as well as what you're going to do with this money that it seems you don't need. That's all I have to say.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Wayne Bennett, 3123 Freedom Court, Douglasville, 30135. And I was going to speak closer to the actual budget season, but bouncing off of what I'm hearing today, I decided to go ahead. I think that I propose that the Board of Commissioners create a Citizens Budget Oversight Committee, where the citizens of this county are involved in the budget monthly, no less frequently than quarterly. But the citizens of this county need to be involved in the budget process. There needs to be more transparency. There needs to be more accountability. There needs to be more scrutiny. There needs to be more justification for the expenditures that are being made in this county. Because I definitely feel like there's a lot of money being spent unnecessarily. I have lived in my home for 37 years. I am retired myself. I own 2 vehicles. I own a 22-year-old vehicle and I own a 16-year-old vehicle. How old are the vehicles that you all are driving, that we are paying for? Not only the vehicle, but the insurance, the gasoline, the maintenance. And this is, how many county employees do we have driving county-owned cars? That the citizens of this county are paying all of those expenses. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. So I strongly encourage you all to create this oversight committee, and I will volunteer to be one of those members. Thank you.
My name is DeWitt Roper. I live at 6826 Cedar Mountain Road. I didn't go to college, but I did graduate from the School for Common Sense. This is really easy. The presentation, that's just weeds. We don't live in the weeds. We live in the real world. If I ask how many people their groceries went up in the last 4 years, raise your hand. How many people gases went up in the last 4 years, raise your hand. How many people's your insurances went up in the last 4 years, raise your hand. How many people anything you go get is went up, raise your hand. I mean, everything's went up for us. But we live within our means. That's what we do. We cut back and live within our means. I've seen this commission, part of y'all, vote for a bike path on Riverside Drive. I've never seen a bike on it. You paid $17,000 a year in the first years to light it, when I couldn't get a light bulb changed at the intersection of Cedar Mountain and Doris Road for 3 years. And during that 3 years, somebody run through my store. Somebody called me in there because said, "DeWitt, somebody's in your store." I went up there. I thought somebody was in my store. The whole car was in my store because y'all couldn't replace a light bulb. Y'all do what we do every day. You reduce your budget, and when you got a budget, you don't have to try to spend every penny in it. Try to come in under budget every now and then. So that's mainly what I got to say.
Kim Ashby, Matt Coleman, 6177 Willow Pond Court. I wasn't planning on speaking today either. I just wanted to listen, part of my journalistic background. I'm now in corporate America, and we talk a lot about couple of things. Transparency. I think the quarterly meetings on the budget are very important. Also technology. We talk a lot about AI, which I don't love AI, but it is good for some things. We should have seen this coming. We should have seen this coming, right? Everyone has a budget. You have a budget. There's enough technology out there, budgeting software. We should have seen this coming. And I don't understand why everyone's here because the headline is we're 10 million in debt, and then the CFO is telling us we're not in debt. So I need some clarification on that. Transparency, accountability for when things don't go as planned, or how have we gotten to this point that things have not gone as planned? But accountability for and we will hold you accountable on election day. I think all of us being here shows that we're invested, so we are taking names and doing research and finding out for election day. I think I've learned, they told me this when I was in grade school, but I've realized it's true now, national elections aren't so important. It's the elections right here at home that are important. Transparency, roles, accountability, and roles and responsibilities. If someone is not clear or not making the budget or making it make sense, then we need someone who can. Okay? Last thing is, there's a lot of houses going up. I don't understand why they're putting houses and apartments on 2-lane roads, but that's another issue. But those are tax dollars. We have a gigantic warehouses going up over on the Bright Star Connector area. Why aren't they paying taxes? I mean, we have enough coming in. We've done so much with Douglas County. I've been here 20 years, and I've seen it go from a very rural kind of area to more, more industries and more businesses. I like to go to Kumba Coffee, but I can't if I'm out of money. All these industries need to be paying their taxes, not getting tax breaks to be here and then going to the citizens for the money. I can't go to Fabiano's. I can't take my kids to Fabiano's. I have to think about it and budget and decide, is this the day that we have a fun Friday? Because I can't afford these taxes. If you want empty storefronts on our main street that is now coming back to life, keep raising taxes. Because these are small businesses. Small businesses are the backbone of the U.S. economy and local economy. So don't put these small business owners who have a passion and a dream, but we can't afford coffee.
Thank you. All right. Is there anyone else wishing to speak this morning regarding the proposed millage rate? I want to make sure we've given all our bosses an opportunity to speak this morning. Anyone else? Okay, with that being said, if no one else is coming forward, this public hearing is now closed. Board of Commissioners, you have any comments? Certainly. I will yield the floor to Commissioner Kim Jones. You're moving your mic, so I assume you have some words.
I have a couple of questions for staff, if legal, is that permissible?
It is.
Dominic or Mr. Uchi? I do distinctly remember the last time we had this presentation asking, why are we using $250,000 as the litmus test for the impact to people's budgets when that is not the median household assessed value for Douglas County? Is closer to $317,000 to give folks a more accurate representation of what that increase would look like.
Actually, I believe in the retreat you all had, I had 350.
I saw it in your
Okay,
in the
then.
retreat one that we gave,
Yes.
and I asked last time, but then in this presentation, it's back at the 250. I guess, let me clean it up. Can we have that changed before the next public
Sure.
hearing so that folks have a better idea of what that would look like?
I mean, I remember it's clearly 490 something, I believe. Yeah.
The other question that I have, and this may be more for Dr. Corbin, But are the department's budget hearings open to the public? Are they streamed live? And are they on DCTT and YouTube for the individuals who cannot come in person?
Thank you for that question. No, they're not open to the public.
Are you able to do that, to have it streamed so that the
I
public?
will have to consult with the board. It's a board decision, not the staff's decision.
I do also share the same question as the public in terms of the $10 million. My presumption, and correct me if I'm wrong, is that some of the differences that we see are because certain funding line items or sources are factored in from different revenue generation sources, but the budget gets balanced overall based on some departments may have come in under, some may have been over, but it's supposed to balance out at the end.
I'm sorry, I see my CFO.
Thank you, Commissioner. Before I answer that, also with regards to the 350 scenario, what the county clerk put out for the public in the newspaper was also based on 350. So there's it's full transparency. It was advertised as 350 and what the cost will be based on the law of rollback versus increase. So it's in the public, okay? The second question, the budget has two parts. You have budget for revenue and budget for expenditures. The budget for expenditure for general fund is that for each department, when they have an allocation, the grand total of that allocation adds up to the revenue we expect to collect. So in essence, by law, we have to have a balanced budget, which was balanced at 127 at the beginning of the year. That's the plan. During the year, you all approve various amendments or agreements to adjust departmental budgets when they have additional expenses they want to incur. That amendment with the expenses adds up to the 137. But in addition to that, we have additional revenue of 140 if you remove non-recurring revenue part of it is 137. So we actually broke even. Now, the state law also allows, even though you initially adopt a balanced budget, that you don't, if you exceed it, you have the resources to pay for it. So in essence, our balanced budget at the beginning of the year was 127. It got amended through the year, identifying funding sources to take it up to 137. That's what I'm saying. We did not exceed budget by 10 million.
It was amended.
It was amended. And it has supporting revenue to pay for it.
That's a good question.
I will just, that was my final question, but I will just say, whether it's $29 a month, $100 a year, whatever the number is, if you are on a fixed income, elderly, that is the difference in medication. That is the difference in whether or not you can eat. That's gas money, that's electric bill. I just hope that my colleagues and I remember that when it's time for the official vote. I yield back.
Do you yield back? Okay. Anyone else? Vice Chair Alcarez, you have the floor.
Okay. So some of the things that were discussed earlier, well, one thing, I'm just going to make it clear. 166 is a GDOT highway. The county has no control over that. We've been pushing it. Anyway, let's look back at the tax cuts here. My fear is, as was mentioned twice, down in South Georgia, in a small town, they just rose their taxing. They increased their taxes by 40%. Georgia Pacific said that's enough, and 500 people lost their jobs, and they moved. That is a huge concern of mine in this county. We're going to keep it, because I've heard it since I've come into office. Small restaurants and everything from our first initial increase was, we cannot afford to keep paying this. You would not believe how much my taxes have jumped. So looking at our businesses, they will. I would move my business somewhere because they still have to be profitable to continue on and to continue to grow their business. So my fear is we are going to drive away some companies out of our county. We just lost Southwire. Southwire is making a change and they're heading to Bremen. That's a lot of jobs. That's a lot of revenue. So they're sitting there and they're looking at it, and they're also watching what we're going to do with this millage rate. I heard you about the bus system, but we are going to have to reconstruct or restructure that bus system somehow, because we cannot continue to keep losing $4 million a year. We can't. It can be restructured to where maybe we don't lose that much, and I understand the need. Do not misunderstand. I understand that there is a need for that in our county. But Carroll County implemented a bus system, and they are not losing $4 million a year. So we got to look at maybe how they set up their system. But I hope my colleagues just think about that as well as we look to go forward, that we got some jobs that were grant funded. And once it's grant funded and that grant ends, then those jobs should end. Some people's just got to work harder. I mean, that's how we have to do it. If it gets to be too much in a salary or, something happens, sometimes you just got to tighten your belt up and you got to work a little bit longer hours. And not only that, you got to work a little bit harder and smarter. So I hope my colleagues look at that as we go forward and thinking about this, because too, we all live in this county as well. It's going to impact us as well. But I'm just afraid that we're going to lose some of our businesses, small businesses, and I'm also afraid some of these bigger businesses are going to say, you know what, we can just go another 10 miles down the road, open it up, and we can do more. So I yield back, Madam Chair.
Thank you so much, Vice Chair Alvarez. Any other comment? District 3 Commissioner Martin Raxton, you have the floor.
All right, good morning. So I also have the same passion that each of you have. I am a 30-year resident of Douglas County, Georgia. I raised a family here in Douglas County, Georgia, and very, very proud to call this my home. With that, we take this job very seriously. We take this responsibility very seriously, and we're going to propose and look at different assets of what we're doing here as elected officials and working with the administration. So I agree that we are going to look at and need to take in consideration some cost cutting and some tightening of the belts there and what that potentially looks like. I am one that also we need to look at what is our rate and where are we with positions that have been open, vacant, and make some hard decisions related to that. I'm also very, very committed to reining in the costs and expenses, because guess what? The buck stops and starts here with this Board of Commissioners. With that said, I'm also an advocate of having and proposing an audit committee. That's something I truly believe that this county needs, and we should look at actually implementing and looking at what that looks like. So with that, I also believe in higher transparency. And that's why I have town halls and I bring out those from the county to share, to ask questions, to answer questions from the residents. That's why we do Civics 101. We ask the residents to please come. Please ask the questions. We'll make sure that those that are in charge with those responsibilities and then have those initiatives that you hear directly from them so that we can show accountability and transparency. So I ask you to please come. Please come to these events. Please come to the public forums with the elected commissioners so that we can talk through those and we can answer your questions. So with that, we are going to have some hard conversations, some crucial conversations. And I will ask that we start the budgeting process a lot sooner this year than we have been and what's currently on the schedule. So we can report out to our residents where we are with the budgeting and what makes sense. And again, look at what I like to call the Moscow principles, which are your must-haves, your should-haves, and your could-haves. And let's make sure we take care of our must-haves and we address some of the should-haves as well. So with that, Madam Chair, I yield the floor back to you, and thank you.
All right, thank you so much, Commissioner Raxton. Thank you. Y'all can applaud him if you want to applaud him. Go for it. Certainly, my heart is touched by my bosses coming out this morning to express your opinions about a proposed millage rate. But I made it very clear in our first meeting, or our meeting last week, our retreat. And we will double down on expenses. We will cut accordingly. I made sure that that was said in the meeting, and I'm not sure, certain things make the newspaper, but not all things make it. And sometimes when Madam Chair speaks, some of her words are omitted, and I'm not sure if it's on purpose. But yeah, we're going to tighten up the belt. I was certainly missing in action in 23 and 24 unjustifiably. But so some of these things happened while I was out of the office. But of course, I am working very diligently to see what I can do to rein it in, tighten it up, and drill down on those areas that we have gotten out of control, if there is any fluff. I'm looking for fluff. Made it very clear, fluff will not be shifted to our citizens of this great county. You all deserve better. We deserve better as a county. It's tight right now. I looked at the county administration who proposed these numbers. I said it'd be tight, but it'd be right, but it won't be on my citizens. So you all can just breathe. If you just breathe with me and walk with me and roll with me just a second, allow us to just tighten it up and bring the information back to you. We did roll back, it's my understanding, 23 and 24, which of course I was not in control of that. But what we can't do is roll back and take it back. That makes no sense, does it? Makes absolutely no sense. So we'll just leave that alone. My goal is right now, I believe our board is committed to making sure that we provide the best service to our citizens and work within our means and not work with what we want to just look at the things we need and not what we may want. This is a time that all of us, not only in Douglas County, but this entire United States, we are feeling the heat and the pressure of inflationary problems, the inflation, tariffs, and the big beautiful bill. I won't forget that. So we got quite a bit on us. And certainly we are in this together. We've survived COVID-19, and we're going to survive this moment. So I appreciate everybody being out here this morning. It really warms my heart, because if you look at the hierarchy, the citizens are in charge of this county, not the Board of Commissioners. We report to you all. We work for you. So we heard you loud and clear. I heard you. I can't speak for my other board members, but I can speak for me. I heard you loud and clear. I take copious notes. I'm rather quiet sometimes. But I'm listening. So thank you so much for being here today. Any other remarks, board? Anything else? Madam County Attorney, before I close out, I just want to make sure. Let me just say I really appreciate the attendance this morning. I really do. And thank you for all your words, and all the things that you said did not fall on deaf ears. So just give us a moment. You jerked at my heartstrings, and I'm right in here with you. I feel you. So we have, when is our next, if you could announce, clerk, when our next 2 public hearings will be held.
Our next public hearings will be August the 19th, one at 10 a.m. and the third one at 6 p.m.
Okay. I do want to add, because where's the nurse? She spoke this morning. She really she understands nursing and public health and mental health and the crisis that deals with, my background is healthcare as well. This board only commits only 2% of our budget to healthcare. and medical, and if you look at our situation with behavioral health, mental health, and developmental disability, we don't want to put a deaf ear on that. I am asking this board and myself to look at ways that we can look at, because there's a potential that the Community Service Board, of course, may be disappearing out of the county, but we have quite that's a situation that we don't want to turn a deaf ear on as well. So I'm asking for your understanding regarding what's happening with that mental health, behavior health component. And then you mentioned transparency. Prior to me leaving, we did have everything televised, so it seems that helped when you had the doors open. So we hear you. You want your budgets. We do have finance meetings still. Those finance budget meetings are held quarterly, and some occasions monthly. But we'll make sure that information is televised, and you are invited. It is publicized in the newspaper, but I know it helps because you all can't be here. So we will make sure that it's televised.
Madam Chair, not everyone takes the paper.
Right.
It's a paid subscription. It needs to be on the website.
Yes, sir.
On the county website also.
Yes, okay, sounds good. All right, we hear you. So with that being said, Board of Commissioners and citizens, again, thank you. Board of Commissioners, do we have a motion to adjourn this special call meeting?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second on the floor. Any discussion, board? We have a motion and a second. All in favor of ending this meeting or adjourning, please indicate by raising your right hand. We have a 4 unanimous vote, and the motion carries, and this meeting is adjourned. And thank you all again so much for coming out this morning.